if you go to this website, app.bookcreator.com, this is where you are going to go to sign in. And I can't remember, I think I saw Casey pop in here as well. So I can't remember if you all signed in through Clever or not, but if you do, you can use Clever. But when you go to app.bookcreator.com, there's actually two different sign-ins. And so you just need to be careful here, because one sign-in is for students, and that's not you. So what you want to do is make sure that you click on this button that says teacher, and then you're going to sign in with one of these options. All right, so either your Google account or Microsoft email or Clever. So whatever your school uses, I think it's Google, and I think you might have Clever, so you definitely want to do that. Now, after you sign in, it's going to ask you a few questions. What do you teach? What grade level? And if you've never used Book Creator before, it's going to ask you to associate yourself with the district so that you get that full version. All right? Just say yes, accept it, answer the questions, jump through the hoops, and then you're going to be set. Now, it will ask you at one point to create a library. And again, just kind of jump through the hoops. If you name it demo or test or math period 1, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just name it something, and then that will get you through that hoop. You can always delete that library later or rename it if you need to. There's no reason to worry too much about that. But you're gonna kind of do that, and then your library is going to look like what you see here on the screen, except it won't have any books in it. It's just going to be an empty library. And what I really want you to focus on now, especially those of you that are brand new to Book Creator, at the top left, there are these 3 black lines. And if you click on those, it will take you to your teacher dashboard. Now, this is where all of the books and libraries are going to live. With your school plan, you will each have access to 1,000 books, unlimited libraries. So you can make a ton of stuff with unlimited libraries. You could make a library for every class, every student. If you wanted to use it as like a digital portfolio, you can use it for just about anything that you can think of. Now, for those of you that have used Book Creator in the past, I do want to point out this little button right here at the top right, and that's the What's New button. And what's really cool about this is it will give you, if you click on it, it'll give you a timeline basically of all of the new features within Book Creator. So again, if you are a seasoned veteran, definitely click through that timeline and see if you've caught on to all of those new releases. And if you haven't, read the blog posts about them and try them out. And we're going to talk about some of those today. Now, again, at the top, whether you are a seasoned veteran or a newbie, the Discover tab is a great place to go. In the Discover tab, you will see sample books written by students and teachers. And so we have tons of examples here by grade level. So you can simply click on the grade level of your choice, and you will see all of these amazing books written by students and teachers. If you scroll down below that, we have books written by our ambassadors. So these are just, books on every subject that you can possibly think of: differentiation, formative assessment, how to use it at high school, SEL, which is huge right now, digital citizenship. And if you click the little side arrows here, you can see even more. So we've got social studies and science. There are so many choices here for these amazing books. So I definitely encourage you to take a look at those. And then one of my favorite sections is down here at the bottom, and this is books by subject. And I think the reason I like this so much is, as teachers come out of Book Creator webinars, they're really excited. They're like, wow, Book Creator is awesome. And they think it's cool and easy. But then sometimes those questions start to arise, right? Like, well, how am I going to use that in math class? Or if I'm a PE teacher, how am I going to use Book Creator? That kind of stuff. And these buttons, if you click on them, will take you to sample libraries, again, filled with sample books by students and teachers in all of these subject areas. So I highly recommend taking a look at those. Even if you don't teach in some of those subject areas, I love going in here just to get inspiration of design, content, whatever. This is a lot of great information. So definitely want you to check that out. All right, and then across the top, the next button over is the Learn tab. And this is really, really important, especially for those of you that are brand new. The Learn tab has these white buttons at the top, and these are support articles that will take you through everything that you could possibly question about Book Creator. So if you're not sure about accessibility, you can click on this, and there are support articles on accessibility, or how do I share books, or how do I delete books, anything you can think of right here. This is a great place to go. But underneath that is our certification course. And I think this will be very helpful, especially if you don't have much experience with Book Creator. If you click this button that says View the Course, then you will be brought to our certification tab, and there will be 14 videos that will take you on a deep dive of every feature that we have at Book Creator. If you watch these videos, and they're short, like a minute and a half, maybe 8 minutes at most, watch the videos, take the quiz, and then you become a Book Creator certified author. And you get this cool Book Creator certification badge. You can put in your email signature, put out on social media, whatever, totally up to you. But more importantly, you will walk away from these videos really understanding Book Creator, all right, really, really well. In the chat window, let us know if you are a certified author already. And we'll take a look at that. If you are, awesome, congratulations. And Catherine has put some links in there as well. Now, I told you, I think you've got this figured out by now too. I like competitions, right? And I like challenges. So here's challenge number 2. There is a school district, Kansas City Public Schools, and it's one of Catherine's schools. And in the first month that this certification program went live, they had 300 teachers complete the certification. 300. It's been about a year and a half, and they are still at the top of the leaderboard, and I'm sick and tired of seeing them there. All right. I know that your district has more than 300 teachers, so let's get them all certified so that we can take over that #1 spot. Sorry, Catherine, but it's going to have to happen this year. I'm making it happen. All right. So can we get everybody certified? That would be awesome so that we can take over that #1 spot. All right. So again, the Discover and the Learn tabs, these are very important, and they're definitely going to help you, all right, as you begin to navigate through Book Creator. So a couple of new features that I'd like to share with everybody before we get too far into like any like tips and tricks and hidden things. Definitely want to talk about some new stuff. And there are specifically two areas that I really want to focus. And the first is when you create a new book. So when you invite your students to join your library, all right, you're going to click that invite code, and they're going to get a code. All right, now my code is a little bit different. And so I'm going to invite all of you to join my library here today. So if you want to play around in here as we're discussing things, you can certainly do so. I will put that code into the chat window here. So there's the code, and that will get you into my library. Now, if you haven't done Book Creator before, what you're going to do, once you've signed in, you're going to click the 3 black lines at the top left. You're going to go to your teacher dashboard, and then you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. All right, now for all of you, that journey is probably about that far. For me, I've got tons and tons of libraries. So at the very bottom, there is a button that says Join a Library. You're going to click on that button, enter the code, and then you're going to join the library. Now, sometimes I know with Zoom, it gets a little bit tricky. Where's my screen that I'm working on? Where's John presenting? And kind of gets a little confusing. If that's the case, just watch and enjoy, and then you can go back in and view this later. But if you want to participate and you can multitask, then you can certainly do so. All right, so you're going to join my library, and you're going to be able to work inside this library here today. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this playground book. I'm going to click the share button, and I'm going to turn on collaboration so that we can all collaborate inside this book. And all you have to do is click inside of it, find a blank page somewhere in this book, and just start playing around. All right, somewhere in this book. All right, now, I did mention the new book button. So when your students join your library, they're going to click this button here that says new book, and they are going to be able to make books inside your library independent of any of the books that you've created. Now, these books right here where it says blank books, at the top row, we have our blank books, and at the bottom row, we have our comic books. Now, here's tip number 1, and I think this is probably, I don't know, Catherine, what, 35, 40% of all support tickets that we get is probably this section right here. When I click blank books, if I choose the top row, I will not have the ability to add comic stuff to the book. If I choose the bottom row, I will have the ability to choose comics. Now, I think the reason this is the case is because when you see comics, a lot of times teachers are thinking, I don't want to make a comic book in the traditional kind of sense, and that's fine. You don't have to. But if you choose the bottom row, then the comic features will be there if you want them. All right, so I personally always choose the bottom row. But this is where things start to get a little bit cool, a little bit different. Sometimes when a teacher clicks on a book or a student clicks on a blank book, they become paralyzed because they don't know what to do. All right, it's just a blank page. They're staring at the blank page, have no idea where to start, and we just get a little bit confused. Well, if that's you or your students, then we also have a button here that says templates. And these templates are amazing. And they've been around for a little while, but you can choose any of these beautifully designed templates. So if I click on this magazine one, for example, you can see a very professional looking type of magazine. And I think what's awesome about this is that there is a lot of power in simplicity. So especially with like high school kids, for example, they might look at Book Creator and be like, yeah, it's easy, sure, whatever. Easy doesn't mean that it's not rigorous. And so even though the tool is very easy to use, you can make something very powerful, such as this magazine template right here. And so when you click on a template, everything that's on here is editable. So you can change the pictures, you can change the text, you can change anything that you want here. And it just gives you a starting block, right? Some place to begin from. If I click the arrow and I keep going, you can see other beautifully designed pages that you can edit and change to your needs. I'm just going to keep going here. So again, you can see very professional looking stuff that these kids that can possibly make. And now if I click this plus button to add a new page, it doesn't just add a new page that's blank. There are other templates that you can choose from. So maybe a Q&A page. Maybe I want to do a meet the team page. There's a lot of different things that you can do inside of these books with the templates. So I encourage you to take a look at those templates. Now we also have a ton of other templates in here. One of my favorites, and this is kind of, there's some cool themes down here, some other newspapers, yearbooks, things like that. But one of my favorites is this one right here. It's actually a notebook. And the reason I love this one is because it reminds me of like middle school when I had my Trapper Keeper. All right, so and I'm kind of dating myself here, but for those of you that remember Trapper Keepers, I loved Trapper Keepers, and this is kind of like a digital version of it. So I can change the name of my notebook, and if I click the arrow, I can put my name in there, just like a Trapper Keeper. And as I move along, we've got different pages here that will help you for a notebook. And some of the pages are really cool. So we've got like a section intro. You can put your notes in the section title. I really love some of these like this. So if the kids are, learning about a topic and they take their notes at school, they can go home and they can add photos in here related to the notes. So I just think this is really awesome. And then one of my favorites, and I do remember somebody being in the group here today being a special ed teacher. So maybe not even just from a special ed kid standpoint or a teacher standpoint, but just a personal standpoint, we have a planner, which I think is really awesome. And so now you can actually write your weekly notes and plans in here and use this to give out to your students. All right, so I think this is really awesome. There's at this point, there's no excuse for your kids not to have all of the information that they need for the week, right? Because as a special ed teacher, one of my kids' favorite excuses was, well, I didn't do the homework because I couldn't get it written down fast enough because the bell rang and I had to leave, right? And I didn't get the notes written down fast enough, or I didn't get the assignment written down, or I didn't see it, or I wasn't here, right? Like whatever. Well, guess what? Now we can take away that excuse because this planner, you could fill it in for your students or they could fill it in. It's totally up to you. Now, I will show you a cool little trick here, though. If you decide to make this template and fill it in for your kids for each week, that's really awesome. There's an easy way that you can get this to your students. So at the top, there's a button that says Pages. I'm going to click on that Pages view. And I'm going to see the weekly planner page along with all of the other pages inside of my book. I'm going to click the 3 dots at the bottom. And when I click the 3 dots, one of the options says Copy To. All right, so it's right there. It says Copy To. And so here's what I'm going to do. I know that my students are inside my library. I know that they're building books, but I want them to have this list of assignments for the week. So I click Copy To. I choose the library that my students are working in. And I see all of their individual books. Now, here's what I can do. I can either give it to John, I can give it to Cindy, or if I want, at the top, I can click the dot and I can put it in everybody's book. And so what I can do is then just hit Copy Page. And then some of the styles are different, which is fine, but I just hit Copy. And then guess what? That page gets added to the back end of everybody's book. All right, and so that's one way you could do it. So that's a way you can take a template page, a question page, whatever you have for your students, make a copy of it, put it into their books, and that way they, like I said, they can run out of excuses. All right, so those are the templates. All right, so new book, and then click on templates. All right, so at this point, I'm going to take a pause here for a second. Are there any questions about templates or the teacher dashboard, getting started kind of with Book Creator? I did record my previous session, which was a getting started session. So hopefully that will be shared out soon. So if you want to watch that and learn all of the inside tips and tricks about Book Creator, you can certainly do that. But are there any questions right now about the templates or the teacher dashboard? And if not, then we are just going to keep plugging away. All right, I see lots of no's popping up there. Excellent. Now, for those of you that are brand new to Book Creator, I do just want to, as a quick reminder, all of the stuff that you need to know about Book Creator is up here under the plus button. All right, the plus button allows you to add stuff to your books. You can add shapes, you can add comics, and you can add media. All right, and so under the media category, there's a ton of stuff from the pen tool to the camera. If I click on the import button, I can bring in images, maps, files from my computer or my Google Drive, and I can even embed content from other sources into a book. All right, so let's talk about some of the little hidden tips and tricks that a lot of people don't notice, all right, inside of Book Creator, don't even know exists. And I'm going to start with shapes. Now, this is actually kind of, I don't know if it's embarrassing or not, but I'm going to say it anyway. I've been using Book Creator for about 10 years, right? So basically, the day that it went available on the iPad App Store, I've been using it, right? And the online version is fantastic, and I love it. But there's some things that I see people do that I don't quite understand. And one of them, I was watching a webinar, and I saw a teacher have a very nice Venn diagram in their book. And I was super excited. I was like, ooh, cool, a Venn diagram. How do you put that into Book Creator? I see some smiles, right? So I was like, oh. So I grabbed a shape and I brought in my circle and I copied it and I pasted it and I made it, I moved it like a Venn diagram. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, nope, kind of looks like a jelly bean, right? It's not a Venn diagram. That's not good. So then I took one of the circles, I clicked the inspector button and I changed the color, right? And I said, ooh, we'll just change the color. And I'm like, it's closer to a Venn diagram, but it looks more like a MasterCard logo, right, than it does than a Venn diagram. And so I was kind of like, well, and I kind of gave up, right? And I couldn't really find a way to make a Venn diagram. And so this is a cool little trick that, again, not many people know about. I'm going to take this circle, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to click the inspector. Now, in the inspector, I can change the color, I can add a shadow, I can add a border, all right, to this shape. So I'm going to click color, and I'm going to change the color to a color that has been there since day one, to a color that I have never ever clicked on. And that is this color that says none. Now you can imagine what this is going to look like, right? I click none and the shape is none, right? It has no color, right? So that's still not a Venn diagram, John, right? But check this out. I'm going to click this little back arrow here. The color is none, but now I'm going to click border, and I'm going to turn on a border, and I'm going to change the border color to something like red. And now I have a shape that has a red border, and as I move it off the page, take a look, it has no guts. And so now I can take this and copy it and paste it and move it around, and now I do have a Venn diagram, right? And so now I'm super excited because now I can actually use this as a tool for my students, right? To get their learning ready, get their writing ready, things like that, understanding. Now, I will show you a cool little thing that's maybe a little frustrating at first. You can type inside of shapes. So if I click inside of the shapes and start typing, you can see that that text kind of gets muddled, right, between all of the different parts. So not a good way to do a Venn diagram. But what you can do is click the plus button, text, and now you can move the text around, right? And so maybe over here, say, who likes golf, right? John. Who likes watching Hallmark? John's wife. Who likes to walk? Both of us, right? So we can start maneuvering things around. So I love this idea for using it as a Venn diagram. I also, actually, I'm going to put that back. I also like the idea, instead of using text, right, for your special ed students maybe, or just for something different, if I click the plus button, under media, I can even add voice. All right, so now I just hit record, gives me a little button there. I click start recording, gives me that countdown. John and his wife are both humans. Click stop, use recording, and now that can go into the center of the Venn diagram. And so you can move it around, you can resize it, do what you need to do. But think about Venn diagrams in a different kind of way, right? So you can use Book Creator to help, you can use audio, you can use text, you could even use video if you wanted to. There's a lot of different options here for Venn diagrams. All right, so that is making the inside of the shape invisible. Now, while I've got this on my screen, I'm going to show you my next favorite hack. All right, I love this because if I want to manipulate something, I'm going to click the inspector. Now, for those of you that have used Book Creator before, you will note that when you click the inspector, it covers up part of your page. And that gets kind of annoying because the arrow over here to move to a new page isn't there, right? And then I have to click off, I have to click the text, click inspector, and then you can see the inspector changes based on the items that I click on, right? So if I click on audio and the inspector, but it still covers up part of the page, all right? So here is a super secret tip. If I click the inspector, up here at the top is another button that I have never clicked in 10 years, and that is this little pin right here. And if I click on the pin, watch what happens. It shoves your book over to the side a little bit and leaves the inspector open, but you have full function of your book pages. And so now I can change pages, I can move back and forth, and every item that I click on, check it out, the inspector automatically changes to match the item that I'm clicking on. And so again, it's kind of cool. And again, for those of you that have used Book Creator, you might be like, wait, oh my gosh, that's amazing, because it is kind of annoying when the inspector covers up part of your page. So hopefully that's kind of exciting to you and those of you that have used it. But I love this feature because it does allow you the ability to see that full version of your book. Okay. Next thing that we're going to talk about. Now I'm old and I can't get my brain wrapped around change, so I'm just going to go back to the old way. All right, so now I've gotten so used to it. All right, now one of my next favorite features is the ability to embed things into your books. All right, so for example, if I click the plus button in media, and import, I can bring in files from my computer or my drive. All right, so for example, I'm going to go to my files here, go to my desktop, and I'm going to pull in this PDF. Now, you'll notice, quick side note here, that if I click PDF and import it into my book, it's not going to take the PDF and magically turn it into a 10-page book. It just puts the PDF inside of your page. And so now I've got this PDF, and I can move it around, I can resize it, and when my students click on it, it will open that PDF right inside of Book Creator. And so the kids can see the full version of the PDF. All right, so I told you I like to wash cars. Here's my master car cleaning guide, right, that I like to use. Now, you, as a side note, you see what's not on here? Bath towels and dish soap. So if you're using bath towels and dish soap to wash your car, please stop. Sandy, I see you laughing, which means she's a bath towel car washer. Please stop doing that. It's so bad for your paint. Okay, moving on. There is the PDF. Some people, there's a couple things that I want to talk about here. This is just the ugly PDF icon. I cannot change that. All right, I know it's one of those top requested things. Can I make it a pretty picture? Can I do something else? Unfortunately, right now, the answer to that is no. All right, you just get this ugly kind of PDF icon. However, you can change a few things. So if I click the icon and click the inspector, I can change the link. So instead of saying ammo clean PDF, I could just say ammo clean and change it and get rid of that PDF like extension. I can turn the title off if I don't want it. If I just want the logo there, I can get rid of it. So clicking on things and then clicking the inspector is going to be a big piece for you. All right, same thing with the font. You can change the font and you can also change the color. So if you don't like that, you can change that link color to whatever you want it to be. All right, so again, the inspector button is really going to be your friend. Okay, next, plus button, media, import. I want to talk a little bit about images. What I love most about Book Creator is that in this image section, I can search for images right here within Book Creator. I don't have to go anywhere else. My kids don't have to go to any other websites. It's all built right here. Now, for those of you that are seasoned Book Creator veterans, you'll note that this used to be a Google image search. It is no longer a Google image search. All right, we are now powered by Pixabay. And what's really awesome about this is that because we are powered by Pixabay, we were able to go to them and say, make all of these images the safe images. Pixabay did it. And then we were able to go through and say, you know what? We found a few other images that we don't like, and we were able to remove them. So this is the safest image search that I think you're going to find. All of the images are free. They're all free to use. They're all free to modify. But here's where things get really cool. When I click on a video, a photo, and I click Add to Book, you'll notice that these images are gorgeous, right? These are beautiful images. They're crystal clear. They're none of those like grainy thumbnail images that kids love to put in presentations. These are good images. If I click the video, or I keep saying video, I'm on vacation. If I click the photo and I click the inspector, there are a couple cool things that are hidden here. I can hyperlink that image to a specific website. So when somebody's reading my book, they can click the image and it will take them out to a website. Or I can even hyperlink it and have it take them to a specific page in the book. And so now I'm thinking choose your own adventure stories, visual table of contents, right? Lots of different things you can do by hyperlinking. There is also the ability to add accessibility text. So if I put in something like red classic car, now my students with visual disabilities are able to hear the book read to them and say image red classic car, right? So this is really cool. And if you are a fan of attribution, right, and making sure that people get credit for where credit is due, you can see right here that this image is from Noel Bauza from Pixabay, right? So the attribution is right there. But if I click this blue button, guess what? It adds the attribution right to the bottom of the image so that it can be visible within the book. All right, so a lot of awesome stuff. Charles, great question. I hate this question. It's a great question, but I hate it because the answer is no. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to remove the backgrounds behind it. So if he just wanted the red classic car driving down his own street, unfortunately, we cannot do that at this time. You'd have to do that somewhere else. It is probably one of our most requested features. So knowing how much engineering hates when we put in people like requests, right? Like here's what teachers want, here's what teachers want. They hate it because the list keeps getting bigger, but they like to fix it, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if we have that ability sometime in the near future. But unfortunately, we just don't have it right now. We just got done with a huge update, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. That was kind of taking up a huge amount of time, but I will definitely take that and pass it along to engineering again, so that hopefully we can get some kind of image removal tool maybe put in there in the future. Okay? All right. Awesome. Now, one more really cool tip with media. If I go to the image tab again and I type in car, again, these are safe images. I don't have anything to worry about. But I shouldn't say that because you never know, right? There's always a chance that something sneaks past, okay? And let's pretend like these legs right here are inappropriate. And I really don't want my students to be witnessing legs, right, hanging out of the car window like this. Well, guess what? There's a cool feature that we just added a while back where if I click on the image, there is a flag that pops up. Now, what's really cool about this is if I click this flag, I can block this image from the search. Now, it doesn't block it from everybody. It blocks it only from the students that have joined my library. So if I click on this image and click block, right, because I know we're doing a paper about cars and I start looking through here and I know which ones my kids are going to giggle at and I don't want them to have those, I can block those images. And when they search for car, this image does not appear. All right, so that is really a nice feature if you have potential images and things like that that you don't want your kids to see. All right, so that's that. All right, next, plus button, media, the pen tool. Now, the pen tool is definitely one of my favorites. All right, and there's some really awesome tools in here, specifically the auto pen. So for those of you that haven't seen the auto pen, if I click on it, what I love most about this, I'm going to draw a bicycle. Now, drawing on a trackpad is not a fun experience, and I'm not an artist anyway. So if as I'm drawing my bicycle, you can see this looks hideous, right? It's a terrible looking bicycle. But at the top, the auto draw is trying to figure out what it is. Is it a pair of sunglasses? Nope. Is it a tractor? Nope. Is it a toilet? My image might look like crap, but it is not a toilet, right? So this is not it. But as I go across the top, I can see a bicycle. And I'm like, ooh, this is the one that I want. I click on it, and guess what? It fixes my bicycle. And now it actually looks like what a bicycle should look like, right? So that's a really cool piece, all right? So I love that. Also, in the pen tool, hidden kind of over here to the side, is the emoji button. And I'm gonna pick on the emoji button. There's a couple of things that I really, really want you to notice about this. One, it has all of the emojis minus the bad ones, all right? But I want you to think of emojis differently. I'm gonna put in the word shark. And I'm going to search for the shark emoji. Now, instead of the little things that annoy us at the end of text messages and tweets, now I can make it real big. And I want you to think about using emojis as design elements. So now I can use it as a part of a research paper or as a way to make these really cool images that don't have backgrounds, right? So there's a lot of fun things you can do with these emojis. All right, so I definitely want you to think about that. And then also under the emoji section, I want to show you some of the images. I had a teacher reach out to me once. She's like, John, my kids love Book Creator. They're having a blast. We're making books about ourselves, right? And I was like, ooh, cool. She goes, well, my kids have one problem. And that is that the emojis, they don't look like they do. And I was like, oh. I was like, oh, well, yeah, they're all the same skin tone. How? Okay, well, that's not very like diversified. Like, how is that even possible? So I go yell at our engineering team and say, how can we have emojis that are all one skin tone? Because on my phone they aren't, right? I can just tap and hold and change the skin tone. And so they're like, no. Look, right here at the top, there's the emoji hand. If I click on the hand, I can change the skin tone of my emojis. All right, and so again, this is something that most people don't see. All right, so I really like this. So one, you can change the skin tones. That's important. Number two, they still don't look like me. Right? Like emojis are, they're emojis, but they're not great, right? They don't have spiky hair and glasses and things like that I want. So as a side note, and it's totally up to your district, I don't know your district private or policy on this one, but I use the Bitmoji extension. And so for those that are aware of Bitmojis, if you click the Bitmoji extension and download it to your Chrome browser, you can sign in, create your avatar, and now I can click and drag my Bitmoji onto my page, and now the Bitmoji actually does look like I do, right? So now I'm even more personalized. Now, again, I'm going to say this with a word of caution. Sorry this is taking so long. I'm on condo Wi-Fi. But if your school district does not promote Bitmoji use among students, be careful with this one, right? But if you are, as a teacher, are allowed to use it, you can certainly spice up your books a lot by adding some Bitmojis in there. So it's a lot of fun. Catherine and I use them all the time. So there's some really cool ways that you can use Bitmojis. Another fun fact about Bitmojis, a lot of people use Bitmojis on their phones, right? And they send them in text messages and things like that. You can save a Bitmoji from your phone to your camera roll, and then you can send it out in an email. You could put it into a book creator book. But if you do it from your phone, the Bitmoji has a white square around it, which makes it look goofy. If I want to put this picture of me on a beach, I have this nice beach background. I have myself, but then there's a white square, right? And it just kind of looks goofy. So if you want your Bitmoji to not have a background, then you're going to use the extension. All right. Yep. There's one. Yeah. Just like that. Right. You're welcome. So this is really cool. I love using Bitmojis, and it's just a lot of fun. Okay. Awesome. All right. So we talked about that. Ooh, this is another cool one. All right. I'm going to pull in a picture. I'll just take myself here. Let's do this. All right. Take that. Use my picture. Okay. So I've got an image in here. So I'm going to kind of piggyback a couple of features together. If I go to the plus button, media, and record, one of my favorite tools that we have is the record button. So I'm going to click start recording. Gives me a little countdown. My name is John Smith. Click stop, use recording, and now that record button is right here. All right, sorry, my image is taking a little. There we go. So I've got my image and I've got my record button. And so I could take the record button, just kind of stick it here on the side of the image if I wanted to. And when a kid is reading my book, they can click that and it says, my name is John Smith. My name is John Smith. Okay, now that's cool, but check this out. If I click the record button, click the inspector, I have the option right here to make the record button or the play button invisible when the book is being read. And so if I turn that on, I can actually resize this audio button to fill the entire image. And then when I go to, you can see it kind of in the background there, kind of a little transparent. But if I go to read mode and I look at this book in read mode, you don't see the audio button. But when I hover over the face, you can see it turn from a pointer to a finger. And so now the kids know that there's something back there. And so I can click on it. My name is John Smith. So you can make hidden audio buttons in the books. So encourage your kids to click on images, click on things, try things, because there might be some secret information, right, hidden in the book. One of our books that we have is an image of an orchestra. And what's really cool is when you click on different instruments, music will play based on whatever instrument that you click on. So there's a lot of really cool things you can do with that. Yeah, absolutely, Teresa. So I just pulled in an image. All right. I have my image. I have my audio button. And then what I did is I clicked on the audio. I clicked on the audio button, then clicked inspector and clicked make invisible when reading. And then I just resized the audio button and it's all set. Now, there's a lot of different reasons why I think this is cool. But one of them is, as a special ed teacher, I did have the occasional student, or at least I knew of the occasional student who was nonverbal, right? Either couldn't speak, didn't want to speak, whatever. And a lot of times those students were walking around with, I think they're called touch boards, that would say things. So like if a kid wanted lunch, they would find the picture that says lunch, they tap on it, the computer says lunch. Well, guess what? Those machines are very, very expensive. And I just replicated it using Book Creator. So really cool stuff. You can make touch boards for your students using Book Creator. So anyway, there you go. There's the audio button. Some cool features there. Okay. Last one that I want to talk about, and then I'm going to talk about our newest feature, which I think is really, really cool. If I click the plus button in comics, I can choose these different panel styles. Now, without fail, I will have students who will say things like, yeah, the comics are pretty cool, but I can only make 6, and I want an 8 comic panel, right? Or I want 10, right? Or something, right? They're never happy. So there's a couple of cool things that you can do here. I'm just going to add a 2-panel comic panel here. If I click on the panels, you can see these little lock icons. All right, that means they're locked. You can't mess around with them. They're there, 2 panels. However, if you click the panel and click Inspector, there is an option right here that says Unlock. Now, I can click on that, and it will unlock the panel, and it will allow me to resize it any way that I want it to be resized. So now your kids have the ultimate flexibility when it comes to making comic panels. They can make different styles. They can rotate the panels. They can put them in sideways. I mean, there's a lot of cool, fun stuff you can do, right, by messing around with these comic panels. So I encourage you to take a look at that, being able to unlock them. All right, you can also unlock it by 2-finger clicking if you're on a Mac, or right-click on a PC and just click Unlock. All right, now at the same time, I'm going to show you another cool trick. I'm going to take a picture here. Okay, we'll use that. Click Use, and that picture gets added in here. Now, I don't know how much educational factor there is involved in this, but it's certainly cool, right? It gives you a little leg up on your design. So I'm going to take this image, and I've unlocked it. I'm going to do something like this. All right, and then I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste that same image. I'm going to move it a little bit further apart, and then I'm going to click these little arrows right here, and I'm going to move the image over just a little bit. And then I'm going to paste it again. And I'm going to use the comic panels as a cool design feature, right? So instead of just the normal comic panel-y kind of stuff, I'm going to take this image, and I'm just going to chop it up. And I'm going to keep moving things around until eventually, and I'm not going to do the whole thing. I know what some of you are thinking, like, oh my gosh, you're going to go through this whole thing. No. But I'm going to look at some, like, see how I'm going? See where I'm going with this? And then if I click the inspector and click on backgrounds, I can add some cool backgrounds behind it. You can see it's really kind of cool, right? You're starting to have some fun with this. But I did this once, and one of the elementary teachers was like, it was either elementary or kindergarten. I don't remember exactly which one. But they were like, oh my gosh, because I can make a book that my students can copy, and guess what? I'm going to put all the pieces over here off to the side, and the kids will have to come back and put it together, and guess what we just did? We just made a puzzle, right? So there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can do with this, all right? So some people are super impressed by that. Some people are like, yeah, it's a puzzle, right? But anyway, there's some cool things that you can do by really manipulating and playing with those comic panels. All right. Now, the last thing I want to share with you, I have to unlock it on my end. Oh, great question, Charles. Yes. So you can unlock things on your end, okay? However, there is the ability, if a student were to copy your book, they could unlock things on their own, because when a student makes a copy of the book, it's now theirs. So they could unlock things. However, check this out. If you don't want them to be able to unlock things, or if you don't want them to figure out that little trick, if you click on an item, click the inspector, and click lock, there is now a button here that says prevent unlocking. So if I turn this on, no matter who makes a copy of my book, no matter what happens, they will not be able to unlock that image. It's going to always be stuck right where I want it to be stuck. All right, so that should help you out there. All right, outside of the book, I'm going to come back out of the book now. And I want to show you our newest feature. And for me, this is a showstopper. And before I forget, also, I'm going to copy this link, and I'm going to put this into the chat window. This is the evaluation for today's session. All right, so definitely, before I forget, under the share button, I can publish my book online. Give it a title, give it an author, give it a description. But now we have some new features. All right, so if you want to share your book out with others, we've got some choices. Private means only people with the link can see my book. Public means that anybody on Google might be able to search and find my book. All right, so you have two choices now. It used to just be give out the link. We also now have the ability to allow remixing. So if I click this and turn this on, then anybody who finds my book can then remix it and edit it for their own needs. They don't have to know me. They don't have to contact me. They can just do it right from there. It's very nice. Also, when you publish, check this out. We now have an analytics feature. So whenever your book is shared out and people read it, in the analytics tab, it'll tell you how many times the book has been read, what countries have read it, and how many times that book has been remixed. And it's really cool because when people go to read your book, I'll show you one that actually has been read. If I, as the teacher, if I click on this link and I click on analytics, I can see this book has been read 24 times in 2 different countries, and you can see these little buttons pop up that tells me where. And if I click on the buttons, I can even zoom in and say it's somebody in Chicago, somebody near Cincinnati, somebody near Akron. Like, this is really cool. And I can even print out this map if I wanted to and share it with my kids just to show them that people around the world care about the books that they write, right? So this is a really neat feature. Good question. Who owns the copyright? You do. We don't take any copyright for this. We don't take any ownership. The books are yours. They'll always be yours. We have no interest in taking that from anybody. Okay.